is Agustin Corbat, and he's coming from Stockholm. He's working together with Anna in the BioImage Analysis Facility that is in Uppsala, actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Stockholm, but you have Please, Agustin.
I'm actually working half the week in Stockholm, or more than half the week. So, well, thank you for having me. I think it's a bit of pressure being one of the first ones, and also I'm quite new to the society, so I hope I don't overstep on any of the previous work that you've done, especially of my first couple of slides. So, bear with me. So I took this phrase from the GloBIAS common statement webpage. I think it kind of summarizes everything. So it's a reciprocal exchange of ideas, techniques, and feedback between different types of experts has been the core concept and the driving force of NEUBIAS, where various activities have been realized to promote interdisciplinary communication. And I noticed that NEUBIAS actually appears in almost every paragraph of the of the common statement. And if you divide this, doesn't show very well, but if you divide it into three separate parts, I thought about touching upon and tweaking a little bit each of these to make it a bit more applicable to new steps, to new things. So, for example, the first part, we could say something like take a step back and unravel or identify these patterns that are appearing and gain like one extra level of abstraction on what's happening in image analysis. And for that, it would be good to have collaboration and to work between experts from different regional communities, because these patterns actually arise in different places. So that's how we can identify them. And the activities could be carried out to promote this collaborative work between people and communication. So I'm going to base most of my following ideas in those things. Again, these are all ideas I had, so feel free to discuss them and then, keep whatever is good and then discard the rest of it. But most of them are towards suggesting ways to be open and reduce duplication of efforts in the community. Sorry. Keep track of of all the different regional communities that there are, the people that are involved in there, and what's the work being done by them. And also, as the last step, identify these reoccurring patterns and learn something from them. So I have several propositions. These are 8 of them. I'm going to go into them one by one very briefly, and then we can discuss. I was going to upload them so that you can also change them or update something, but I haven't got that far yet. The first of all, and I think it's quite key, would be to have a regional community database. Having this database updated would help us know how big the communities are in different regions, how much they collaborate between them. Ideally, the different communities would be able to update them so that it's not a ton of work on a single person. And I wrote to the bottom left what I thought was the cost of having something like this. So, for example, I thought the overhead here would be to generate the form to fill in, but then the cost might be low to maintain this database as long as it's delegated to the communities. A different thing would be to have something like ambassador meetings, for example, where different representatives from regional communities would gather every 2 or 3 months online, and then share what are the community goals they have in their regional communities. Like they have to develop tools, or they're looking into improving courses, they have problems with outreach. Also, what are the concerns they have? There are communities or regions where there is a lack of a career track, communities where this is very well developed, or not very well, but well developed. And how do they regulate time of the facility staff? For example, some people cannot really attend to courses because it's not within the regulations of the university. And last of all, having something checking which tools or technology developments are being either developed or are losing maintenance because there are some problems within the community. A separate thing would be to have interregional conferences or meetings. I know there was one between BINA and LABI, the North American one and the Latin American one. Those are very nice to keep keep track of the types of projects that are being addressed by the different communities, how they are allocating resources, how is the workflow in those different places, and if there are other tools or what are different regions using for these things. Yeah, I think for this one, for example, the cost is quite low. A different one, I think this one was already in NEUBIAS, but it would be nice to have something like this: invite a random speaker or team to your course. So if you're organizing a course, you could maybe ask GloBIAS if there's some teacher, and we already have a teacher database, so I think most of the overhead is already done. But then maybe the funding would be a question: who is going to fund traveling for this person? But it would be interesting to have some random teacher going to deliver a course somewhere else. This will help exchange teaching practices and also share the different experiences between different communities and different regions in the world. This is quite common. I think there's already a couple in place of job shadowing, for example, but I think this is something that could still be open. Having job shadowing options between different communities, it's also something interesting to share these experiences and see what are the tools being used in different facilities around the world, and how they deal with their projects. We could, for example, generate a dashboard of different places or people that would like to go somewhere else. Yeah. This is a bit out of the blue, but what about having inter-region projects? Is it possible there might be regions or communities where there's a lack of experience in a specific modality, for example, and it might be interesting for them to have a shared project with a facility from another place around the world where they actually have more expertise and they could have some kind of guidance there. And that way you spread out the knowledge from the facility, from different facilities, and also you open the space for discussions, or for example, how to estimate errors or accuracy on your different tools. It is an open question: what is the advantage of this for the helpers, for example, but it could help test or maintain new tools from the side of the helpers. Yeah, then what about having theoretical discussions? I already mentioned this thing of taking a step back and identifying what are the patterns that are emerging in image analysis, what are the things that are needed. We could ask and answer questions like, okay, where is the image analysis, or where is the deep learning community heading? Are we going to be using more coding in the future or less coding? Because if tools are taking over, do we really need coding for all the new members? What about the minimum requires for an image analysis career or course? The question of, should we generate workflows, or should we have something that a generator for workflows? Yeah, or even some more theoretical questions like the basics of image analysis or error estimation, how to develop tools or assess them. This would be something quite interesting to have. And last of all, and this is something that should also be addressed, is how to connect. I named this, I mean, I didn't name it, but it's sort of this orphan image analyst. There are people that might not have a community to attend, but as GloBIAS, they could contact GloBIAS, and GloBIAS could find either a community that is near enough space or culture-wise to foster them or to host them, or what is the minimum number of what is the critical mass for a community to form? And I think that's going to be answered also in a couple talks. Okay, these are too many propositions and too many things, but I'm open to discussion. You also feel free to take them and share them. And you can see my contact details here, or you can find me.
Yes, great.